by fans, for fans, the Hog Style. And now, here's your host, Sean Conti.
Welcome to the Hog Style, your unofficial leading source for all things Redskins. Got to give a quick shout out to our new sponsors over at TicketClub.com. Folks, TicketClub.com is your portal to the entertainment world. Whether you're looking for tickets to any of the major sports leagues, comedy shows, or any other live event, TicketClub.com has you covered. Make sure you're going over there to get your tickets today, and you're doing it through the Hog Styles website. But that is neither here nor there. Our guest today is an NFL veteran and legendary Redskin. You can catch him now alongside Brian Mitchell and Scott Jackson on ESPN's Inside the Locker Room. But he's also offered commentary for the ACC, CBS, the Big East Network, and more. Plus, check him out at DocWalker.com for all his many business ventures. He's here today to talk with us about the Redskins' current problems. So please join me in welcoming Rick Doc Walker. How are you?
I'm good, guys. I'm good. Good to be back.
Great to have you back, Doc.
Yeah, well, we certainly have plenty of questions to ask you. This was quite a season we just came through, so we're very happy to have you and get your sage wisdom on what's going on. So first thing I got to ask you is, we last talked to you, it was September 2015. The team still had some obvious problem that you called out. Specifically, couldn't get off the field on third down, couldn't sustain offensive drives, couldn't get first downs. Basically, a lot of the problems that we're still having now. So I guess that's just what I want to ask you. What's been going on in the last few years since we talked to you? It seems like we're in the same damn place.
Yeah, we are. And what has happened, you've had a lot of personnel changes. They've actually got a better roster now than they've had, but you had to understand you're changing systems. From Shanahan to Gruden, you're going through quarterback shifts. I mean, the failure in the Robert Griffin experiment, and then you're going through Kirk broke it in, and, changing your offensive line philosophy. And I think they've kind of settled into that, had a pretty good makeup. But then, like all clubs, you sustain injuries and it starts changing your roster. And they showed a real resilience. They were gallant at times. But for me personally, to me, a basic fundamental, you got to be able to run the ball to be successful. The teams that are in the Final Four now don't run it. And you got to be able to stop people from running it. So it comes down to, with defense, has a far greater presence than people like to talk about. And this club, although it improved, and if you take the Raider game from that instance on, you think, wow, I'm really going in the right direction. And then in Kansas City, you got a chance to get off the field 3 times on third down, where you were actually better than the Chiefs for a little bit, but we couldn't close it, couldn't finish. And so you lose that. So the Chiefs game and the New Orleans game, I think, really robbed this team from having an outstanding season to a disappointing season.
Yeah.
Hey, Doc, speaking about the kind of disappointing season, you work with a guy in Brian Mitchell who has been pretty down on the team, especially towards the end of the year. And there seems to be this collective fan angst about the, last couple games, the end of the season. Can you do you guys get that feeling when you talk to people on the radio and stuff like that? And do you feel like that vibe has permeated into the team itself, or is it just all on the outside?
Yeah, I don't think the team. I mean, fans have the right to get excited, complain, do whatever they want to do because they're fans.
Sure.
But as a player, you can't get caught up in that. I mean, the Dallas game where they started off, first several possessions were good. Dallas was on a downward spiral. And then they, you turn the ball over. And then Dallas has good personnel. And it was just a matter of time, even without Elliott, they're going to break out of the funk. And that was a disappointing day. And that led to 2 horrible weeks because we never really recovered. And you got San Diego, disappointment. And the Dallas game was back-to-back. And they found a way to bounce back and show some courage. And then, but you ended with the horrible performance in New York. And so, it was a losing season. You're not in playoff picture.
Right.
And now, you're faced with, once again, trying to answer questions as to what happened. And what happens is that you just weren't fundamentally sound enough to win the games you had to win. And now you got to figure out what are you going to do to fix it.
Right, and there's so many question marks about the future this year, which I think that plays into it too, doesn't it? I know I heard you on the radio today. You're not as upset about all these free agents and stuff, but I think that plays into it, don't you?
Well, my philosophy is this: I'm not hung up on whoever they get, because you could sign Cousins to $1 million a day contract, and he could turn his ankle or break his leg in the first camp. You still got a season.
Right.
I'm a team guy. I think I'm focused on the team, not individuals. Because you got to be 53-man strong. Four of the teams in contention right now, 3 of the 4 have backup quarterbacks.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
well
yeah, you got to play with whoever you have.
Well, let's talk about Kirk Cousins, because it's certainly the foremost question on everybody's mind going into the offseason. And to me, it's literally the multi-million-dollar question. Is this guy, after we've seen him now start for 3 years, is this guy a quote-unquote franchise quarterback that this team can build around? Or is it, as you say, as you pointed out, they don't really need a franchise guy, and the answer is just to let him go and build in other places? Well, what's your Kirk opinion?
Well, my Kirk opinion is that whatever happens, it's going to be a season with or without it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get caught up in that at all. I don't have no qualms either way. I know that there's a maximum amount of money you can afford to pay any player and still be successful. And if that's 25 to 28, which they've been doing pretty close to, I'm very comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with anything over that, because I'm thinking about the team. I love the fact that Kirk is available every week, and I have no qualms about that. But again, so you sign him to whatever. If you break your leg, then what? You still have to have a season. You still got to be competitive. Nothing changes. So
right.
For me, I'm more concerned about the entire team. What's your plan? And if you sign him, what can you put around him? He could tell you needs a back. Whoever's a quarterback needs a running back. That's just a top flight beast that can run the ball. And we can't keep experimenting with guys trying to make a back. Shanahan had a gift at that.
Right.
He made a ton of back, because in his offense, the way they zone blocking, like Alfred Morris could be an all-pro in his league. Without that offense, he's just a good back. We need an exceptional runner. And a lot of teams have 2. We got to get 1. Other than Thompson. Thompson's third down back.
Right.
We need a guy that can run the ball and catch the ball, like the elite backs. And there's several of them. Some teams have 2. We got to get 1, would be my recommendation if they ask. And then the other would be, you got to get another defensive lineman that's a terror, or a defensive end that's a terror. We've got to rush the quarterback better, because the better you rush the quarterback, the least you have to, it helps your back end so much that you can get good corners and good safeties, and you can live with it. If you don't have pressure, then you got to have exceptional people, and they're hard to come by.
All right. Well, Doc, you mentioned Samaje Perine for a brief moment. And, prior to the season, he wasn't really paid as a starter. You had Rob Kelly, you had Chris Thompson before him. Who knows with Keith Marshall and all the others prior to the season starting. But anyway, what were your impressions of Samaje Perine this season? And do you think he's reached his ceiling in terms of being a dominant back, or can he become that type of person here? What are your overall thoughts on that?
I don't think backs grow into being whatever they are. They're instant. I've never believed. I think backs are instant. And he got better because he's used to playing a lot more. And then a lot of times these guys didn't get a chance to play. You're trying to develop. You're trying to get into a rhythm. And I think he showed that he's worth continuing to work with. But I don't think anybody we had. I like Pat Rob a lot. In fact, he got hurt, and you got to be available. If you're not available, And again, it's still not the kind of guy because we got to take him out on third down because he's not the receiver. You know, Kansas City Chiefs had a couple of them. New Orleans has 2 of them.
Yeah.
You know, all of New England, they're back. They can catch it. Philadelphia has that. You have to have guys that are dual threat.
Right.
Otherwise, every time we put Rob in the game, well, everybody knows we're probably not throwing it to him. So that if I'm a defensive coordinator, they make my job easy because I don't have to defend him.
Yeah.
And that's not good.
Well, you know, the one guy we saw at the end of the year, speaking of running backs, that I thought at least was a little bit more dynamic and had ability was Bibbs, Capri Bibbs.
Yeah, man.
Did we see enough did we see enough to see he's legit or not?
No, we didn't see enough, but he showed me enough to be promising. You know, I like the fact that him going into the camp with a guy I think is going to compete. You know, he's going to compete for time and a job. And that's what you need. You need guys like that young man who sees an opportunity, shows you enough to where I'd like to see more. But I would expect to draft a back in the first 3 rounds. Again, I mean, I would think that I'd be shocked if they did not draft a running back, you know, in the first 3 rounds.
Who do you think they ought to draft? Have you watched any film of the college guys?
Oh, no. I don't. We're way too early. I'm still watching the Final Four. I mean, we haven't got to the Final Four yet. Yeah, college is March and April, and plus, you know, Doug Williams and this group has done a terrific job in putting together a staff along with Smith, and they've got a good group. Now they just got to be allowed to do their thing. Mm-hmm. That's a crap throw, but you know you have to be available. And those guys have been working on this since they took over. So I have confidence in their abilities. But again, that's time. I'm more concerned about the free agents that might be out there, pros that we might be able to get our hands on. And, you know, there's some guys that aren't good fits for other teams that might be a great fit for this team.
Sure. Hey, since you mentioned Doug, I want to get back to the running backs in a minute, but you've been around this team forever, and I'm assuming Doug's kind of always been around the team, you know, for a very long time too. How well do you kind of know him? How often do you guys interact? I'm sure you meet at like Redskins events before this, but
no, I talk to him every day.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I talk to him every day.
So can you give us your impression?
Guys.
Yeah.
They're working the tail off. They're really they're busting tail, trying to make sure, like he's been looking at tons of quarterbacks and all year. I mean, he went to the Rose Bowl. I mean, he's been all over. He just went to the East West. I mean, they're diligently working talent. You don't know who's going to be available, but you have to have a book on everybody. And he's got to be able to have seen everybody, you know, and have a real good feel for what he thinks, what he's doing. He's in the process of doing all that. And along with his staff, you got to get your college guys together, and then it's the pro free agents. There are a lot of guys, like the free agents, like I think Dallas Irving, their pass rusher, who had a sensational year. Every year I call him a prize bull. Last year it was a guy in Jacksonville right now, Calais Campbell.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Calais Campbell is a difference maker, and Jacksonville's in the Final Four.
Yeah, I wanted him pretty badly last offseason.
Yeah. He's for real. So we weren't able to pull that off. So the 2 guys we got are developing, and I think Jim Tomsula has done a fantastic job of getting McGee, who was a guy who was an enormous individual who really had not played up to his skill set. And this year, towards the second half, this kid was playing like a killer. I mean, he really, really came up. You get Jonathan Allen back. Ioannidis proved to be where he's got a chance to be a special player. And so you look at Anthony Lanier, came out of nowhere, and this guy is going to be better next year. AJ Francis.
Right.
I'm pleased with that. You know, Ziggy Hood. That group and Terrell McClain is still improving, I think, under Tomsula. This guy's got a chance to be better than he's ever been. And he was pretty good with the Cowboys, but they were in a 4-3 front. And so to run what we're running, you know, it's an adjustment period. But we got to find out about Ryan Anderson. What is his position? Is he going to be a guy? If they get Zach Brown signed, I think Josh Harvey Clemens proved he could play.
Yeah,
I like Pete Robinson. He got in at the end. Gillette came on at the end. Ryan was Ryan. Preston is still up and down. We've got potential, but we got to get that potential to the surface. And so these are guys that I love. Quentin Dunbar. I think Kendall Fuller is a starter. We didn't not get enough to see a Fabian Monroe, but I think this kid's got a lot of the intangibles. We see that DeShazer Everett, I love DeShazer, but former corner, he's still learning the position. So, DJ Swearinger proved to be a gem.
Hey, Doc, can we steer you? I'd like to steer you back to Jonathan Allen real fast before you get too far away from the defensive line, because we only saw him for, 6 games? It looked to me like he was an incredibly impactful player. But number one, what is his natural position supposed to be? Is he an end? Is he an interior guy or what? And medical issue aside, is this guy going to become a star? Is he the impact player we need?
Who were you referencing?
Jonathan Allen.
Yeah.
Allen. Oh, yeah. John's a real deal.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a keeper. He's fundamentally sound. He can rush the passer. He can play the run. All he needed was help. And so I would count on him bouncing back, and he's a special player. That's what I mentioned. He and Ioannidis got a chance. When they played that Raider game, the Raiders had a couple of the best guard in football, and he destroyed it. So, he's got upside. But, again, he was injured, so you got to go to your backup. And your backup, we merged with Anthony Lanier, who got more time. They were trying to kind of hold him off maybe another year, but they couldn't. He couldn't redshirt him. They were trying to redshirt him, but they couldn't redshirt him any longer. He was too good not to be on the field. And so that proved to be a guy. I'm looking for great things out of him. Great off season in the weight room. AJ Francis, AJ has bounced around 5 teams, but he ended up staying here and making some plays at the end.
Yeah.
Another big guy, 340 pounder. You'll also get some guys back. If you look at I call it the Red Cross list. You got Trent Williams knee, Morgan Moses ankle, Spencer Long leg, Trent Williams coming back off surgery, Phil Taylor surgery, Arthur Jones shoulder, John Allen foot, Will Compton out, Mason Foster surgery, Nicholson with the head trauma, Laval injured, Jordan Reed injured, Terrell Pryor, he's injured, Chris Thompson, Rob Kelly. So we got a long list of guys who can play,
right,
but weren't available.
A lot of talent there, too.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of talent, but on the men, the important thing I focus on is the backups. Because they're going to have the OTAs, they're going to be out to start. Those are the guys that are going to be taking the reps. Those are the guys that are going to be getting better all throughout training camp. Because a lot of those guys I mentioned, they may not play until preseason.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
And so and they could be healthy and get hurt the first play. If you look at the Final Four, 3 of the teams are playing with backup quarterbacks. So we got to get off this injury stuff. Everybody gets hurt. So plan on it being hurt and build up your backups.
Well, speaking of the injuries and the backups, it's not lost on me that the Redskins just re-signed Quentin Dunbar, who was the backup, and we haven't really heard word one from the team itself about Bashaud Breeland. So are we looking at Dunbar? Are we looking at Norman, Dunbar, and Fuller next year, with Dunbar the outside guy and Fuller playing the slot?
I don't know.
What do you think?
I don't know. We got 7-8 months for that. What you're looking at is if Bashaud gets signed, if somebody offers him a big deal, he should take it.
Sure.
Unless he just wants to be there. Because I would have a limit as to where I would go, because I think that Kendall Fuller is a starter in this league at corner. And so I need 3. And so 24 coming back, you got him. You have Fabian Monroe, who you drafted, who should be ready to play next year. And then you got 4. Well, even without Breeland. If Breeland's here, then you got 5. And then your 2 guys can play inside. You got a lot of depth at corner if he stays. If he leaves, you just get younger, and you take that money, and you go try to find your linebacker.
Yeah, I'll hate to see Breland leave, but like you said, they've got plenty of depth at least. Let's talk about those linebackers, though. I mean, we have a lot of talent there, but no one signed long term. You got Brown, Foster, and Compton all kind of free agents this year. Would you want to try and bring back all three, or would you try and just bring back two and maybe look to the draft? What do you think?
Well, I don't know if Compton would make it next year because I think Zach Vigil will cost you a lot less. Came on strong at the end.
He did.
You have to reduce your salary.
Right.
You can't overpay guys that aren't 4-down players.
Yeah, you got to play money ball.
You got to play money ball. And so Otha Peters, the young man, would be given a shot. And I hope that we would sign a veteran linebacker in the offseason if somebody's available.
Mm-hmm.
If we get Zach, I really like the fact that we've got some guys, with talent coming back that I'd like to have. I'd like to keep. I'd like to see them come back. I think, certain injuries like a shoulder, I mean, that's not an amputation. I expect those guys, Mason Foster, I think he's brilliant.
Yeah.
And I would see Mason, if Zach signs, you got Mason, Zach, Martrell Spate.
Mm-hmm.
He should come back. He's got potential, but it's time to prove it. It doesn't take that long. Quarterback, I'm patient with.
Right.
Every other position, man, it's football. You should instantly be able to go in there and after a year figure it out like Kendall Fuller did.
Mm-hmm.
He went from freshman year to sophomore year, bingo, absolute player. And so, we that's how I look at it on defense. And I need 3 or 4, maybe 3, at least 3 guys that aren't on this team right now. I'd like to pick up at least 2 or 3 starters in the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, because we added 5 last year. They probably need a couple more. So.
Yeah. Every year I don't win,
mm-hmm.
I'm trying to turn over my roster so
Sure.
I can win. Because you cannot win dragging people across the finish line that you don't win with. I just don't believe in it.
Well, I think that's actually probably the perfect note for us to end on tonight. I know we've kept you up right till the end of the 20 minutes you have for us.
I'm good if you're not good. I want to make sure you guys get all you need.
Sure.
Sure.
I got another 5. Yeah.
Well, okay. I do have another question. If you have another 5 minutes, we have another question for you.
Sure.
You're the tight end expert. You obviously played tight end. You know the position well. This guy, Jordan Reed, we know him. We love him. He's a talent, but he's always injured, and he can't block. Is this a guy that the Redskins can rely on in the future? And is he ever going to get to the point where he can be an inline blocker and sort of solve that problem?
Well, I hope not, because you can find some guys to block, but you can't. He's an unusual property,
mm-hmm.
and he's a guy like Jordan. First of all, he's not injured on purpose.
No,
this guy really wants to play. He had a toe injury that, hindsight, you're brilliant. But looking back on it, if they had IR'd him or pucked him in camp, given him 8 weeks to heal, he might have ended, with 8 games where he's a difference maker. See, I'm really patient for guys who have talent. I'm going to wait it out on Jordan and hope that he stays mentally strong to deal with the looky-loos and the naysayers, because when he's on the field, he changes the defense. We only have 2 players, in my opinion, that force you to alter what you're trying to do on our entire offense. He's one of them. And Thompson's the other. So the 2 guys we have that force the defense to spend time on were out.
Yeah.
That's one thing I really like about Kirk Cousins, is that he didn't have them. And you were still competitive. You still had a chance to win games. Jordan Reed's blocking, that's probably never going to improve. But I take what he does on 3rd down, and as a weapon, he changes, he alters defensive alignment, and he's special. And so I'm going to go now. In a perfect world, if I were his agent, I would ask him to trade him. Because if he was with a really good team like New England, who doesn't have to have him block like Gronk, they could just make. He'd be Aaron Hernandez. With Aaron Hernandez, he is so unique in the ability to run routes, to get separation. He is fantastic. So I'm really partial to people with talent, and Jordan's a talent. So I'm not I'm frustrated, but I'm not disappointed because his injuries aren't, he's not faking. He's not fragile. I mean, you break a toe, you break a toe. He had that problem with his, there was a bone by his clavicle. I saw him get adjusted during the Rams game. They had chiropractors working on this kid on the sidelines. They were popping a bone back in place, and he went back out there and made plays. And in between, they'd have to pop the bone back in place.
This was his toe, or
no? Against the Rams when they beat the Rams this year.
Oh, okay.
In L.A., Jordan got hurt about the second half. They are adjusting him, took his pads off, and they're popping the bone back in place.
Jesus, that's
which
awful.
Is extremely painful. And he's going back out, and he made plays. And they come back and readjust him again. If you go back to the Cowboy game a year ago, he separates the shoulder and goes back in and makes the game-winning catch. Oh, no. I'm a huge Jordan Reed fan. I mean, I know it's tough on fans to look at it, but he had enormous pain and went through it. He fought it out. He's a tough dude, man. He simply can't get his body in line with him, right now. And that happens to some players. But a team like New England said if I was his agent, I mean, a really good team could use him as a third down specialist and bring him in. And I swear to God, with their outfit, he'd be fantastic. We don't have the luxury of that yet. But I'm a Jordan Reed fan. I'm going to stick with Jordan. I'd like to see Jordan stay in D.C. in the offseason and work with specialists and really try to get himself as strong as possible because he's that valuable.
Yeah.
Well, he really is. So injuries are tough. It's frustrating. I mean, when we lost Thompson, had we not lost Thompson, I really believe that it won 10 games. Even with everything else that happened, because he's that good, and he gave Kirk an outlet where we could keep getting first downs. Without him, then our defense, they have to play too long. They get on the field, they get worn out, and pretty soon, we're not able to compete. And that's something that we have to get better at. And nobody's trying to fail.
No.
But the reality of the NFL is that if you look at Le'Veon Bell, and then you look at the Steelers, who had more talent than anybody to me in football, and they're out. Offensive talent. And it still wasn't enough. And that's why I'm shifting all of my attention to the total team, because you can have a super side of the ball. It doesn't matter. But yet the three best defensive units, Minnesota, Jacksonville, and Philadelphia, are where? They're in the Final Four. So it's a little easier to me to fix your defense and buy some time. Now, if that's going to depend on Kirk. If Kirk works with them and they work with Kirk, because he deserves market share. I mean, that's not his fault. He's at the right place at the right time, and he's earned that. But, if he can't work with them, then I move on, and I try to put my emphasis on defense. And, I go with Colt. And there's several free agents that are out here. Once these starters come up to these teams that are in now, those guys are going to be available. And I'm going to draft a young person in the first 3 rounds. Because my philosophy is that I'm always trying to get a quarterback. Always. I'm grooming. I'm setting the kid back. I'm building that. To me, if I win this league, I am constantly trying to upgrade the position so that I can win with 3 guys. Not in the same year, but eventually I'm growing my own crop, and that's quarterback. I'm not going to be quarterback 4 because it costs you an entire season. I mean, look at the garbage that you look at all year.
Oh, it's awful.
I mean, it's ridiculous. So there's only about 12 of them worth their weight. So I'm going to be in the quarterback building business. I think Gruden is capable of assisting a young guy get better. And if we get Kirk, great. If we don't, great, because I got to fix the team. And in order to do that, it's one brick at a time. And I'm partial because I'm into the offensive and defensive lines. Because if we can run the ball, we got a chance. If we can stop the opponent from running, we got a chance. if we can't do either of the stuff above, we got very little chance.
Right.
I mean, just look at it right now.
Well, yeah, and I think this was one of those seasons that brought a lot of things, brought some clarity to all of that for sure. So I certainly hear where you're coming from.
Yeah, but you don't want to take anything away from the fan. The fan is excited about the possibilities.
Sure.
And that Raider game was no joke. But if you ask me, and we'll talk, hopefully we'll talk again, and we'll talk, maybe around the draft, and we'll talk about camp.
Well, that'd be
we
great.
have got to get a better start.
Yeah.
We've lost the opener every year.
Yeah.
And I think
right.
it's a direct relationship from training camp. So my message to the team is stop patting yourself on the back and start looking at this record realistically and saying this is unacceptable, and we got to fix it.
Yep.
So if that means guys staying around town, training all year round, working out, getting their stuff together. You know how many times we completed passes a yard short of the yard marker?
Yeah.
All
of them, I think.
Dozens.
It was enough to drive me crazy.
Short.
That much.
We're always short. So I want us to get better on third down.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to do that, man, we got to get some beasts. We got to get some guys that just will not be denied. If you look at the Minnesota Vikings, they got good receivers. Diggs is really good. Palin is fantastic. These guys are really good, but they catch the ball. We had too many drops.
Mm-hmm.
And then our special teams, gentlemen. Our organization was built off the strength of special teams.
Oh, I have George Allen's book on special teams in my office here. I swear by that thing.
And we are not playing the type of ball that this team needs. It needs its special teams. It's not a luxury here. We need it for field position.
Right.
Because we were built. We got to get that. We cannot. We didn't have a return man. We didn't have how do you not have a return guy?
I'll tell you what we had one good gunner that I can see, and that's Quentin Dunbar, and that's about it. We got the kickers, but we had another
gunner. Fabian Moreau was a terrific gunner.
Okay, yeah, Moreau did some good stuff. Yeah.
No, until he pulled his ham.
Mm-hmm.
After the ham, it neutralized it. But we have him. We've got Josh Halsley is a guy who could be great on teams. Fish Schmitzen. We have got to turn these young guys loose. The problem is our young guys end up playing so much.
Yeah.
So we lost Dunbar. We lost these guys because they were on defense.
I'm a believer in that old school mentality that was around when you were a player, and that was that guys who were on teams, that was their job. They didn't do all this other stuff. You had 4 or 5 guys, and they were just your core special teams players. And I think we lacked that.
That was Joe Gibbs' philosophy. We had 7 guys that made the team every year.
Right.
Specifically for teams.
Mm-hmm.
We're some of the best ever.
Yes.
I played with Otis Wansley. Otis Wansley is a superstar in my mind because this dude was unblockable. We had Lorenzo Alexander here.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And the one-man gang.
Mm-hmm.
And we let him get away. And I'll never get over the fact that we devalued those guys. We lost Lorenzo Alexander at free agency. That's a sin.
Mm-hmm.
Not only was a terrific person, now he's in the Pro Bowl.
Right.
Playing for
Buffalo. Yeah. Yep.
And that irks me every time I see him because he wasn't asking for a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
And we the money we spent on Terrell Pryor, guys like that, to me, that's when I get aggravated. I'm like, what are we doing? We need $6 million wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
We needed Lorenzo Alexander covering kicks and killing people, coming in and rushing the quarterback.
Doc, I'm with you 100% on that. I'm all about having an elite special teams unit, and these guys actually roll their eyes when I get excited about special teams a little bit.
You don't roll our eyes. Come on, a little bit maybe.
A little bit, you do. But I'm all.
Glamorous.
You're preaching to the choir with me about all this.
Yeah. It's not glamorous.
No.
But I'll tell you what, you cannot.
That's football.
Not win consistently without it.
Right. That's football. Is what it is. That's what it's old school football.
We have an outstanding punter, kicker, holder, snapper. All our guys are elite in that category.
Right.
But that comes with release guys on punt coverage. We got to get guys who can stop people from other guys' gunners.
Yeah.
It is really a total team effort. And I watched Kawika and these guys. They put in a lot of work, but they're not getting the results of the work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I was at training camp, I saw the same thing.
Yeah, we're not getting the results. The effort is there. Yeah, I don't know what the coaches tell them or not, but I assume that they told them things, but we missed some rules. We fielded the ball in a home game that had it bounced out of bounds. We got it on the 40. We got kids touching it. I mean, I'm sure Ben has gone over it with them, but if they don't retain the information, then they're not studying hard enough.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to be held responsible. It's one thing to point out blame. Anybody can do that. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking for what is the solution? And that's what I beat my head on the wall because nobody has a good answer to me.
Well,
we know what happened. Well, how do we fix
it? Yeah, I mean, it just feels like at this point the team's problems are so chronic that there's so much work cut out for us in the offseason, as you've laid out, that it's just so hard to even know where to start changing the culture around here. But
I'll tell you what, for about 27 teams are in the same boat.
Yeah, true. That's true.
I mean, 27 teams in the same boat, dude. It was that close.
Right.
Very easily, Atlanta could have beaten Philadelphia.
Yep.
The Saints could have I'm just telling you, this thing ain't that far away. Everybody's close enough to keep working. I mean, we're not getting slaughtered, but we are in the bottom third of the league, in my opinion.
Mm.
There's nowhere for us. We don't belong in the bottom third. You got to get yourself back around the 50% mark where your units and all your numbers dictate that you're middle of the road. Then you can strike. You can't strike from 26.
No.
You strike from 14.
Right.
So you got to get yourselves up. We got to be a proficient team, and I think Jay has the ability to get it done. But then now, is his staff complete? See, I'm evaluating everybody and everything in the offseason because I want to know what the evaluations are.
Mm-hmm.
Because we didn't block on the edge. Our tight end position did not block well enough to be celebrated.
Nope.
It needs to be investigated. Not celebrated, but investigated. Let's find out how we fix it. Jeremy Sprinkle, I think, is one of the answers. Mm-hmm. I love Davis, but you count on a guy who's played a lot of football in this league, and he had to play more than I'm sure that anybody wanted because of the injuries. Well, let's fix that. Then maybe we need to draft one. Maybe we need another one.
How about a fullback? That would help.
Well, I don't think he'd play enough. That's a luxury. A fullback's a luxury.
Sure.
I'd rather have another tight end in the competition, and then we have got to get a number one receiver.
Yes.
We got to get one, or we got the ones that we have got to emerge. But I'm not messing around next year waiting on anybody to develop. Dotson deserves the right. That was his rookie year. We just saw Dotson's rookie year.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a rookie. Okay, so I'm going to give him that. But again, then the gloves are off. We got to get it done. Brian Quick's got to be given the chance to get it done. Robert Davis is a guy I'm looking for a lot of things out of. I thought Ryan Grant had a hell of a season.
Yeah.
Have we seen the end of Have we seen the end of Terrell Pryor in DC?
I don't know. I don't know why. I don't mind Terrell. Terrell had a great work ethic. His game day operation didn't work, and to his defense, they didn't seem to cater to him. In other words, I like to see him run a lot of go routes.
Right.
Because what did he do well? I never saw it. He's definitely not an intermediate guy. He didn't catch well enough.
Doesn't go over the middle.
No, he ain't doing that. But that's okay. But let's use him as a threat. But the fact that he didn't block the way I need my receivers to block, I would free him up and allow him to go to a team that fits him. Ryan Clark does it all. He does it all. He blocks. He does it all like that, but he's not a one. And so what I mean is that there's complementary guys, and then there are guys that we've been accustomed to having. The Art Monks, the Gary Clarks, the Ricky Sanders. We've had ones here.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a one, they make plays on third down, man. Those guys are playmakers, and the great teams had them, and that's why they were great. You're not going to be great without great performers.
Mm-hmm. Well, Doc, you've always been a number one tight end to us. So I know we've taken up way more of your time.
You know what? I was lucky to be with our group. We had a great group of guys, all four of our guys. Everybody had a role. Everybody contributed. It was a lot of fun to be around these guys. You take it for granted when you're there. You don't realize that it doesn't happen that way every year.
No.
It just doesn't happen. We went to back-to-back Super Bowls. That's other than the Patriots, that's hard to do.
Yeah, especially now.
We were winning the 87 team, the 91. These teams were great units.
Mm-hmm.
They had some super individuals. Hopefully Jacoby gets in the Hall of Fame. Russ Grimm is already in, and they were worthy. JR, worthy. But we had a lot of unsung heroes, man. We had some guys on defense that never got their credit. Neil Wolkowitz, this not appreciated. This dude was a hammer. He was a run stopper. Our front four, with Charles and Dexter and Perry Brooks, inside pressure, Daryl Grant, Dave Butt, Rich Malott. Rich was a terrific linebacker. We had a lot of talent of guys who aren't marquee, but that's how you win. You win with these guys, and this is what this team doesn't have. Yeah, we got a lot of high-priced free agents, but we got to get some glue guys to come in and do their jobs, unheralded. I always call them the unsung heroes. New England has 20 of them. I don't even know who the team is. Every time I go, who is that? Some guy I've never heard of.
Yeah. They make stars out of anything over there.
And that's what good teams do. That's what everybody else is trying to buy the quick fix. You can't necessarily buy it. You have to develop it.
Well, every time we talk to you, Doc, I think we are all reminded of how far we have fallen since the good days. I think that could never be more obvious. But thank you for all this insight, because it is truly awesome to hear. And we would love to have you back, obviously, later in the offseason.
I would love to just have Doc yell at me about special teams for an hour someday.
Oh, we'll do the special teams hour.
Well, hey, man, we can do it, because I'll tell you what, the hidden yardage.
Oh yeah,
that the good teams gain and that the bad teams give away is really worthy. It's boring, but our football fans really need to understand that. You don't go to the bathroom when we punt. It's critical, because we are flipping the field. Those coverage guys that are never mentioned, man, they make all the difference in the world when they get down there and do a great job. And that's why I love DeShazer Everett. He's a terrific special teams guy. He makes plays on special teams. That should never, ever go unnoted. Brian Quick, he busts his butt on special teams. He's a wide receiver. Niles Paul. Niles is one of my favorites, man, because he does it all. But on teams, he's a stalwart. These guys are busting tail to try to keep us in games and give us field position, and we've got to learn to appreciate it. And they all have got to do even a better job.
Yeah. Well, amen to that. Well, look, we will leave it there in terms of Redskins stuff. Kim, before we let you go, can we get your quick impressions about the games coming up? We had some great football this past weekend and some interesting games coming up. What's your take for these two divisional games?
Conference games. He meant NFC, AFC championship games.
It's going to be. Hopefully they're all fourth quarter. I'm selfish. I want the last possession to determine the game like we had last week, because it's just the best.
So exciting.
The best ever. It's just unbelievable. And that's what I live for. I feel bad for those that don't win, because unfortunately we never lost a conference championship game. That's got to be the worst loss in the world. The Super Bowl loss is not as bad as losing the conference, because at least you got to experience it. But the Eagles are, if the Eagles defense, I adore it. I adore the Viking defense. Philadelphia at home, if they don't give it away, and if Nick Foles can just not play like he's a reserve, he's got to play like he is a starter. He can't be tentative. He's got to make some throws. And he can also, buy himself some time. If he doesn't turn it over, then I think the Eagles at home at night, I would find it very difficult to see them losing. But Minnesota, and I say this, let me get some facts behind it. Minnesota's offensive line is the weakest part of their team, in my opinion, because that's how strong their team is. Their backs are great. The receivers are great. Their line has been murdered with injuries. And yet they're in this game. Well, is the Eagles' strength. And I think the Eagles' offensive line, even though they lost their brilliant left tackle, Peters, to All-Pro, but they're vulnerable at that. Now they can move him around and do all you want to do, but it's not their starting five. Well, it's not the Eagles, Vikings starting five either. But I give the Eagles the edge because of that defense. Their defense, man, I would be not shocked, because we shouldn't be shocked who wins in the Final Four. Both teams are equal. But I would give Philly the nod because of Minnesota's offensive line. Look what New Orleans did. They were able to come back on them. Now they're playing with an all-world quarterback, but they still were able to do it. And so, it's going to be a good one. The AFC side is the perfect matchup because Jacksonville is not afraid of anybody. And Jacksonville has Coughlin. And Coughlin has been the kryptonite to Belichick.
That's a great point.
So, this Coughlin-led influence team, and they have the components that it takes to beat New England. You have to be able to sustain a running game. And they've got the elements to do that. Now their quarterback, they're going to force him to beat him. And that's the one thing about it. This time, Coughlin doesn't have Manning. And so I can't look how hard it was with Manning to beat him.
Right.
I mean, it took two of the best throws ever to beat him. So that's how tight it was. Everybody thinks, Coughlin beat him. He beat him by a hair. Right, but he beat him. Now they're coming in with this defense that is so cocky because they are that good. And New England, they got to block Calais Campbell. They got to block him. And Brady is stationary. He's not moving. So they know where he's going to be. But Bortles can move. Bortles can run. So it gives him a little bit of an advantage before they can kill him. They got to catch him. Tom's not running. So now if I'm on Jacksonville, baby, I'm blowing that pocket up, and they have interior pressure. You can't beat the Patriots if you don't have interior pressure. Well, they've got it. And they've also got a great secondary. And then you got to deal with, I call Gronkowski Shaquille O'Neal. So then the question is, in order to beat him, how you going to stop Shaq? This dude is, you can't, he just blocks the sun out and then catches passes.
Right.
And so, can you block him out without getting a penalty? That's the question. And Jacksonville has the best chance at it of anybody in the league of taking on this task. And that's why I am intrigued by that one.
Wow, you just changed my mind completely about that game. I was definitely looking to the Eagles Vikings a lot more, but you intrigued me with that analysis.
Oh no, man! But I'm always interested in how perfection reacts. The Patriots aren't really. I don't like to watch them in the regular season. They're not fun because they always win. But I'll tell you what, watching how they deal with real talent and real obstacles is when it brings out the brilliance in them. I mean, they're a team to beat the Seahawks defense. They beat everybody. Now, it's not easy. And maybe take the last play of the game, as they showed you last year against Atlanta. They find a way to win. And that's why it's intriguing. And Jacksonville is the perfect opponent because they're fearless.
Yeah. I love it. You heard it here first, folks. Those are Rick's picks for the coming games. Thank you so much for being on. By the way, folks, it's Rick Doc Walker on Twitter. Make sure you're following him on social medias for all the hot takes. But thank you so much for being on the show again. And can we have you on again later in the off season?
Anytime, man.
Rick, we always love talking to you. Thanks very
guys.
much.
Appreciate it. All right,
absolutely.
Hail.
And there he goes, folks. All right, that was Rick Doc Walker. Awesome interview. Always fun to have him on the show. You guys, do we want to talk real quickly about any big takeaways from the interview? I mean, I thought it was.
Did the man really just say that Jordan Reed should be traded?
I don't think he was saying that. He was saying hypothetically what he would do.
No, he said if he was his agent, he would look for a trade.
Yeah, I know. That's the note I wrote. It's like he's advocating that Jordan go ask for a trade. Yeah. I don't like. Let's not do that. Don't pay attention to that. Jordan Reed's agent, if you're listening, he didn't say that. Yeah. We like Jordan on this show.
Yes, generally speaking, I'm very happy with Jordan Reed when he's healthy.
And the other thing that the takeaway to me was He just completely punted the Kirk Cousins question. He was like, I don't even care.
He was consistent on it, though. I mean, I feel like consistently through the interview, we kept asking him about these key pieces on the team, and he kept saying, it's just not, it shouldn't matter. It kind of was his mantra that he kept going back to. It's about scheme, not personnel. I kind of liked that he's so at peace with losing Kirk. I mean, I don't know if I'm at peace with it, but he certainly seemed to be.
It makes sense every if you think of who he played with back in his day.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, he played for Gibbs. Gibbs was the ultimate. He'll take any player and make them great kind of coach.
But it's interesting though because the team he also played on, I mean, it's stacked with talent too, which is interesting.
Yeah, but you didn't watch those teams though, Sean. You're too young for it. I mean, the '82 team in particular was truly a team thing. I mean, Riggins stood out, because he was a big personality, but it was way more of a team thing and starless thing than
two Hall of Fame caliber offensive linemen, though. One that made it, one that should have made it. Like Doc always reminds us. There was a lot of talent.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Jamali brought up your boy Sprinkle without you having to ask.
Yeah, he brought it up on his own. So I wanted to ask him if he his thoughts on him over the year. Even though he didn't really play that much, so it would have been a dead end anyway to the question because he really didn't play that much. But I do think for the future though, Sprinkle does have a good future here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll certainly see. A lot of guys are going to get opportunities to prove their worth on this team this offseason, as it seems to always be with the Redskins. Sure. But anyway, do we want to move on from that and talk a little bit about these championship games coming up?
We got to do it.
Yeah, why don't we talk about them real quick?
Okay, so where do you guys want to start? Because again, Doc was preaching about the Patriots Jaguars game, and I was not that intrigued by that game. Now I kind of am. Where do you guys want to start there, or you want to start with the other one?
We can start there. I'll tell you, I wasn't interested in either because my rooting interests, I'm going to root for an NFC team probably more than an AFC team, but it really is surprising to me that Jacksonville's made it this far. I kind of picked them to lose in the first round and the second round.
You're right.
I'm on board with them beating the Patriots. I don't want to see the Patriots in a Super Bowl.
You didn't read my playoff preview, did you, Alex? Because if you had, you would have noticed that Jacksonville, by a long shot, by a lot, had by far the best defense in the playoffs.
Yeah, but they have by far the worst quarterback in the playoffs, and I put a lot of stock in that.
That's very true.
I think they have the worst quarterback of the four that are left. I'm not sure I'd put Tyrod Taylor ahead of Bortles. But look. If there's a team out there that can beat the Patriots in New England with Tom Brady at the helm, it might just be Jacksonville. It'll certainly be a good
defensive-oriented team.
Yeah, it'll certainly be a good game one way or another. Can Bortles do it? I don't know. I mean, it's a tough call. I have a hard time picking against Tom Terrific, when it's in New England like this.
Yeah.
Even though I want to, because I'm just tired of him.
And bad weather, probably. It's New England and it's winter, so probably.
Oh man, I'm about to say the Jags some heavy hitters, man. I ain't really worried about that. They're gonna hit you regardless for the defense. So it's really about that offense when it comes to that game. If Blake Bortles can keep playing turnover free, don't be surprised if the Jaguars have a chance to win it late in the game. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, I think you're right because if the defense is going to be able to do enough technically to neutralize the Patriots offense, they're going to score no matter what. But the Jaguars, with their pedigree, should do enough to keep them at a beatable level. It's just a matter of whether or not the Jaguars offense can rise to that occasion. I agree with you completely.
Yeah.
But close game, probably close game. Do we want to do predictions one by one like this? Should we give our score predictions now for it? Or?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm going to I so want to pick Jacksonville. I really do, but I can't bring myself to do it. I think somehow Brady's going to come through in this. It may be a rough game for him. I don't know if it's going to be necessarily a high-scoring game. So I'll go I'm going to go New England 2014.
2014?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately and very reluctantly.
I can follow that up because I'm pretty much right where you're at. Again, I think about 20 points for New England makes sense. That's a beatable score in the play for a playoff caliber team, you would think. Just who knows what Bortles going to do. So, I kind of like 20 points for the Patriots. Let's make it a closer game, and let's say 17 Jacksonville.
All right.
I'm saying I'll probably say 20. You know what? I don't even think. I'd say about 20-17.
We're all right there.
20-17. I think I'm gonna go.
You going for the upset?
Yeah, Jags got it.
Jags got it. Let's split this evenly. I'm gonna go with the Jaguars too, and go with the upset. And I'm right there with you guys on the score, though. It's probably gonna be something in that 21-17, 20.
Although, I mean, my goodness, maybe we're looking at this wrong because New England has by far the weakest defense left.
That's true.
And this is a Jaguars team that put up 42 points against the Steelers, which had a pretty good defense themselves. And, and they have a Hall of Fame quarterback in Big Ben. So, maybe absent bad weather, maybe we're all underestimating the score a little bit.
Maybe, that turned into a shootout at some point. And, I don't know if this game will make that turn. That's always tricky to predict.
Maybe not. And in terms of the NFC game, I mean, I hate the Eagles so much with every fiber of my being.
I think we're all there, Steve.
But the problem, of course, is they have an elite defense themselves. You're asking the Vikings to go outdoors. They're a dome team.
Yeah.
Can they they're coming off the high of the fabulous finish against the Saints. I think it's a really tall order for the Vikings to climb, unfortunately. But I can't pick the Eagles because I just can't do it. So I'm going to say the Vikings take the upset and become the first team to have a home Super Bowl game.
I'm with you on the Vikings. I think they actually get this. I was watching that last game with a bunch of Eagles fans.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, I went to college up there. So,
Traitor.
What? Good film school. Not that helped. But, okay, so back to the game. I think the Eagles kind of just stumbled their way through the last game. And if they take that approach to the Vikings, they're not going to get past a more complete team than like the Vikings. So I think the Vikings take this one handedly, something like 28-14.
Wow. Okay. I could see this game going either way. I think the Vikings got a little lucky last week. Let a team march back and got a little bit, was the beneficiary of a over pursuing defender there for that glorious score there from Stephon Diggs at the end. I think the Eagles take this one. I kind of hear what you're saying about previous weak performances from Philadelphia, Alex, but I think they take this one. Oh God, how close will it be? I think it'll be relatively close. Let's make it a one-score thing. I'm going to say 21-14.
21-14.
All right. So I think the Vikings will pull it off. It's kind of weird and awkward because this year it was so much parity in NFL, and I appreciate that. And I think that with these two teams, you don't really expect them to be where they are right now. So it's like when you look at these teams, I don't like. It's just kind of weird picking them. But anyway, with that being said, I think I got to go with the Vikings. It'll be a tough defensive game again. The thing about Philly is, and I said this before the playoffs, if you get them on the road, they may have some issues. But if you play them at home, they're going to be a hell of a team to beat. It's going to be very difficult regardless of who's at quarterback. With that being said, I think the Vikings pull it off, though, probably 17-14. It's going to be a tough game. But I think they pull it off. They make more plays defensively than the Eagles do. So, than the Eagles make on offense is what I was trying to say.
And we all just proved that none of us can bear to pick the Eagles.
No.
Yeah. No. Well, I picked the Eagles, Steve. So I can.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, Steve. You're wearing a green shirt, so I don't know if we can trust you.
This is not an Eagles shirt. I'd like you to be known. This is not an Eagles shirt.
Fair enough. Well, okay, we will let the episode end there since we have taken up so much of your precious time at home, but thank you for sticking with us. Check out our sponsors, ticketclub.com, folks. It's your one-stop shop for live events across the nation. As make sure you're checking it out, and you're doing it through thehogsty.com. You can click on over to them from us. And with that, we will leave you guys till next week.
We will bid you a fair adieu.
Sorry for all the special teams questions and follow-up questions.
God damn it, Alex. Oh.